Hi everyone, so today we're going to take a look at the plus-que-parfait in French. This is a bit of a fun verb tense because generally by the time you're learning this verb tense, you've learned enough things in French that it's all of a sudden like, holy cow, everything is related, there's a lot of overlap, and you get to kind of play around a little bit with this verb tense. So the plus-que-parfait, the point of this verb tense is this is one of the oldest actions that you can describe in French. And so one of my favorite examples is, let's say you're riding a bike and you fall off your bike, and once you hit the ground you start crying. If I were to, let's say, retell this story to somebody, I mean, if I could say, I rode my bike, period. I fell, period. I cried, period. The dilemma, though, is that if I want all of those ideas to be in the same sentence, I really actually should be using different verb tense to be grammatically correct. We don't always do this in English. In fact, we almost never use it in English because let's say we have the verb had. When people are like, had, you're like, whoa, that's wrong. You have had twice. That is wrong. And it's like, no. I mean, it actually could be right depending on how you're using it. So let's back to the bike analogy, is what I should say is the plus-que-parfait is the oldest event, and then the passé composé is the event that maybe happened right after that. So think again, you're riding your bike. You're not going to be like, as you're falling, you're not going to be like, falling as you're, and crying as you're falling over. That doesn't make sense. Generally you fall and then you cry. It's not like the tears start on the way down to the ground. So what you generally would say is I had fallen off my bike before I cried, or I cried after I had fallen off my bike. That's the point of the plus-que-parfait. Generally, we'll just say, I fell off my bike and I cried. I mean, yeah, it's fine, you are conveying meaning, but to be grammatically correct, if you're gonna have both those ideas in the same sentence, that's the point of the plus-que-parfait, is just to let people know that you know when things happened in time. That's the plus-que-parfait. The plus-que-parfait is also very similar to the passé composé in that if you have the verb, like if you have regular verbs or irregular verbs, they're going to use avoir as their middle or auxiliary verb. And if you have van der Tramp or reflexive verbs, you're going to use être as the middle or the auxiliary verb. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so just to compare side by side. In the passé composé, if it was like I had, the verb avoir, you're going to have j'ai eu. Okay, we know the middle verb, the auxiliary verb is avoir. Eu is basically the passé composé word of avoir. You guys should hopefully already know the passé composé if you are looking at this one. If not, go back and you need to know it 100% before you attempt this. With the plus-que-parfait, what happens, this is actually kind of nuts, is that the auxiliary verb is going to be avoir, but it is also going to be the imparfait of avoir. So it's kind of neat because if you already know the passé composé and you know the imparfait, you know the plus-que-parfait. You just haven't put it together yet. So, as you can see, all the way down is like j'avais, tu avais, il avait, elle avait, nous avions, vous aviez, ils avaient, elles avaient. It's like avoir, it's the imparfait of avoir, all the way down. But I still have eu. You guys can see on both sides, passé composé and plus-que-parfait. The main verb that I'm conjugating is avoir, so it's going to be eu. So, in the plus-que-parfait, the middle, the auxiliary verb is going to be avoir, and it's going to be the imparfait. The main verb that you're conjugating is going to be basically how you would have conjugated it in the passé composé. You just have it come at the end. So let me just show you. Sorry, this is my other thing I was working on. Okay, so let's say I've got the verb être, just so you can see a different verb. I'm going to have my pronoun. I'm going to fix this after. I'm going to have my avoir. Think of it like almost like a math equation. A lot of people like different steps one at a time. So let's just do that like one step at a time. And then I'm going to have, let's say, the verb être. So now my next step is I'm going to have my pronoun. I'm going to put my avoir into the imparfait. I'm going to make it match with je, so it's going to be avait. And then I'm going to make my être. I'm going to put that in the passé composé. Être in the passé composé. The word is, oh, what am I doing? Making a royal mess of this. Okay, être, and the past participle is été. And so now I just have to put everything together. It's going to be J apostrophe, and then avait, and then été. J'avais, été. So again, in the middle here, I've got my imparfait. It's the avoir. And then over here, it's the passé composé of the word être. As you guys can, let me just show you in the next one. As you guys can see, van der Tramp verbs are horrible. So as you can see in the passé composé, it's still the middle. The auxiliary verb is still être. That doesn't change. In the passé composé, it's still être. The only difference is that the middle, the auxiliary verb in the passé composé, is in the present tense of être. over here, it's still être, but now it's the imparfait of être. So just like you saw with the regular verbs, it's still imparfait, but it's a different verb tense of the, it's still a different verb. What am I going? Still être, it's just a different verb tense. Present, imparfait. But the main word that I'm conjugating, the past participle, is still aller, just like in the passé composé. So if in the passé composé it's like je suis allé, in the plus-que-parfait it's going to be j'étais allé. So you still have aller, aller, still the same word. And again, the same rules apply like the passé composé, where if you're using être, then all of a sudden you might have to add e's and s's depending on the gender and the number. So let me just show you again what this would look like. So for example, if it is, let me scroll down a bit, okay. This is a different one, sortir. Let's just say, step by step, I've got my pronoun. I've got my verb, sortir. What am I doing? Hang on, sorry. I'm going to use être because it's now my auxiliary, my middle verb. And then I'm going to use sorti. So I'm going to conjugate these kind of one at a time. My imparfait of être is going to be été. My passé composé of sortir is going to be sorti. And then, now I just have to kind of make it go together. I have to take away the E, because again, the French people don't like that. So it's going to be jeté. And then the only final thing I would have to do, jeté sorti, is I have to just make sure, does it agree with, if I'm a girl, then I'm going to have jeté sorti with an E. If I'm a boy, I'm not going to have an E. So again, as you guys can see, this is the plus-que-parfait. It's actually not bad, but there's a lot of borrowing. There's so much borrowing going on. Because right here, this is the imparfait, this is avoir, this is the imparfait, it's être. This is basically the passé composé, and the past participle of the passé composé, and this is the past participle of the passé composé. So I think what's really tricky is that with the plus-que-parfait, you have two different kinds of verbs going on over here with the avoir. You've got your regular and your irregular, and then you have two different kinds of verbs going on over here with your van der Tramp and your reflexive. And they actually look substantially different, right? Because we've got être, we have extra e's and stuff. It just looks a little bit different. But it's still, this is literally like I had been, plus-que-parfait, I had been, and this is I had gone out. And again, you're thinking like, I should have mentioned this earlier. Here's the problem, is that avoir, you're like, that makes sense. Avoir, had, fine. Plus-que-parfait, être, you're like, I don't see avoir in there at all. How is the translation had? Because literally it's like I had gone out, because it's sortir, to go out. Literally, it looks like I was gone out. Fine, if that's how you want to think about it in English, fine, you go and think that. I was gone out, that makes no sense. So you have to then take this like weird translation and put it into the best equivalent in English, and basically just translate it all as had. Whether it's avoir or être, just translate them both as had into English, and then it makes more sense. Because to French people, j'avais été, that makes sense. To French people, j'étais sorti, that makes sense. It's only to us, English speakers. When we put this from French into English, that you're like, this makes no sense. Well, yes, you're lost in translation. So just translate both the middle verbs as had, and then you should be pretty good to go. So again, that's the plus-que-parfait. In a nutshell, this is the overview. So hope that helps. Thanks.